Good morning, dear students. Welcome back to your English class. Today, we are going to discuss Chapter 10, The Mystery of the Missing Ring. First, we shall go through the warm-up section. In the warm-up section, you can see 4 questions. First question is, what comes to mind when you think about mysteries? Second one, how does a mystery writer make readers curious? What do you think makes a good mystery? And the fourth one is, can you name some famous fictional detectives? So, here you can see 4 questions and we need to discuss these questions in the class actually. So, the first question is, what comes to mind when you think about mystery? What is a mystery? Mystery is a secret. Rahasya. So, what comes to mind when you think about mysteries? മിസ്റ്ററീസിനെ കുറിച്ച് ചിന്തിക്കുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ് മനസ്സിലേക്ക് വരുന്നത്? What is a mystery? How can we define a mystery? A mystery is one which is not very obvious, which is not clear. It must keep the reader interested and curious to the very end. That is a mystery. And the second question is, how does a mystery writer make readers curious? എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഒരു മിസ്റ്ററി റൈറ്റർ അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ റീഡേഴ്സിനെ ക്യൂരിയസ് ആക്കുന്നത്? The writer builds up suspense by providing many twists and turns in the tale and by keeping us guessing until the very end who the culprit is. The third question is, what do you think makes a good mystery? എന്താണ്, എങ്ങനെയാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ചിന്തിക്കുന്നത്? അതായത് ഒരു ഗുഡ് മിസ്റ്ററി, ഒരു നല്ല രഹസ്യം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ എന്താണ്, അല്ല എങ്ങനെയാണത് സൂക്ഷിക്കേണ്ടത്? എ ഗുഡ് മിസ്റ്ററി കീപ്സ് ദ റീഡർ വെരി മച്ച് ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റഡ് ടു ദ വെരി എൻഡ്, കീപ്പിംഗ് എ സസ്പെൻസ്. ആൻഡ് ദ fourth question is, can you name some famous fictional detectives? We shall say, if we say about some famous fictional detectives, we can say Sherlock Holmes, Hercule Poirot, Feluda, Byomkesh Bakshi, and so on. You can find more fictional characters that you can do yourself. Okay, you can find some more fictional characters by yourself. Okay, so we shall begin the chapter. Before beginning the chapter, I need to say about the characters of the story. The narrator. This is the man who narrates the story. And he is a salesman in an antique shop. Second one, Miss Suskind. She is one of the assistant of the shop. Third one is Mr. Regnier, the owner of the antique shop. And a man and a girl who comes to the shop. Here we start. I am an observant man. I look at people, notice things about them, and wonder who they are. I watch what they are doing and wonder why they are doing it. So, here I is the narrator. I is the salesman in the antique shop. He is the salesman in the antique shop. He narrates the story. So, the salesman says, I have the habit of observing everything and everyone. I usually notice people for their peculiar behaviors or mannerisms. I observe them, who they are and what and why they are doing so. Next, I work at Regnier's, an antique jewelry shop. The shop is quite small. It has one long counter where I show and sell things. Mr. Regnier has his office in a little room behind the shop. There are only two assistants, Miss Suskind and myself. In the morning, I put some pieces of jewelry in the window and I take them out at night. So, I am working at Regnier's shop, which is an antique jewelry shop. The shop is small and it has a long counter where I show and sell things. Mr. Regnier is sitting in the office just behind the shop. There are two assistants in the shop, including me and Miss Suskind. Every morning, I display the pieces of jewelry in the window and take it back at night. And the next lines. One morning, I noticed a girl looking into the window of the undertaker's shop opposite Regnier's. There was nothing in the window except two urns. So one morning, I noticed a girl who was looking at the undertaker's shop, which was located just opposite to our antique shop. I became very curious that why she was looking there for a long time, as there was nothing to see except two urns. Now the next page. She was wearing a long yellow coat with black squares on it. She had long yellow hair, no hat, and shoes with low heels. So she was wearing a long yellow coat with black squares on it. She had long hair and was wearing shoes with low heels, and she was not at all wearing a hat. I watched her for some time. Then a man came into Regnier's. His clothes were quiet except for a very bright necktie. He was about 35. He was chewing gum. So I watched the girl for some time. Just then, a man aged 35 came into the shop. He was nicely dressed, but he was wearing a necktie which was very bright. He was chewing gum. He asked to see some rings. I brought out 3 trays of rings. He picked up 2 or 3 rings and asked the price. I noticed that he was left-handed. The man asked to show some rings and I brought 2 trays of rings to show. He asked the price of 2 or 3 rings. Then I noticed that he was left-handed. Next, there was one very beautiful ring with diamonds and rubies set in the shape of a flower. The man seemed to think the price was too high. So there was a beautiful ring with diamonds and rubies set in the shape of a flower. The man thought its price is very high. He asked the price of that ring. The man was very much interested for the ring and he asked the price of the ring. And he thought the price is very high. Then he saw a 4th tray. It was in the safe in which all the jewelry is locked up at night. I turned to get it out, but before I put it on the counter, I noticed that the diamond and ruby flower ring was gone. Then the man asked for the 4th tray of rings, which was kept in the safe. He wanted to see that tray of rings. When I turned to get it out, I saw the diamond and ruby flower ring was missing. I put the tray and made a sign to Miss Suskind. She came and stood beside me. I said, So have you decided on the flower ring, sir? If you give it to me, I will find a box for it. The man said, I haven't decided on anything. I asked Miss Susskind to fetch Mr. Regnier. I made a sign to Miss Susskind about the missing of the ring. Then she came to me and stood just beside me. I asked the man that have has he decided to buy the flower ring? Then the man said that he hasn't decided anything until then. I asked Miss Susskind to call Mr. Regnier because the ring was missing. That flower shaped ring was missing. So I asked Miss Susskind to call Mr. Regnier, the owner. I came out from behind the counter and started to look for the ring. So did the man. Then Miss Susskind and Mr. Regnier came and searched. Then Miss Susskind said, I think you should look in the turnips. So I have started to search the ring, and the man joined with me in searching it. The man also joined with me for searching the ring. Miss Susskind and Mr. Regnier also started searching the ring. Then Miss Susskind asked me to search the ring in the man's trousers, which was folded in the bottom part of the legs. She asked me to do so. Then the man glared at her. His face had gone very red and he had stopped chewing. But he bent down and felt around his turnips. He found nothing. Then he laughed. I suppose you think I have stolen it. So, when we have decided to search the ring in his trousers, the man became pale and he became angry. He stopped chewing the gum, but he allowed to search the ring in the bottom part of his trousers, which was folded up. But he couldn't find the ring there and the man and the man sarcastically said, I suppose you think I have stolen it. And he laughed. Mr. Regnier said, oh no, sir, I have to make a report for the insurance company. So I must make sure that the ring hasn't got into your clothing. Then Mr. Regnier opposed him, saying that we have searched the ring to inform the insurance company for the loss of the ring. The man went into Mr. Regnier's room and took off all his clothes and even his shoes, but the ring was nowhere to be found. While this was going on, Miss Susskind and I went on looking for the ring. While we were searching, someone else came in. It was the girl I had seen earlier looking into the undertaker's window. So Mr. Regnier took the man into the room and searched the ring in his clothes and shoes by taking it off, but couldn't find the ring. While I and Miss Susskind was searching for the ring, the girl came into the shop. A girl came into the shop who was looking into the undertaker's window before some time. So that's the end of the chapter for today. So you go through the chapter, up to that much we have seen, and go through the meanings of each words that has been given in the bottom part of each page. You need to by heart the meanings also. Okay. So thank you. Goodbye for today.